Hi, welcome to Rise Conference Hong Kong. I have here with me Aaron Tong, founder of Carro. Aaron, thank you for being here. So tell us a little bit about Carro and how did you build that platform into its current size, which is very impressive.
Thanks for having me, Nina. So Carro is Southeast Asia's largest marketplace for cars, right? We specialize in wholesale marketplace. We call ourselves like Alibaba for cars, right? So what we do effectively is that we build a two-sided marketplace where we have sellers from all walks of life, right? Corporates, consumers, dealerships, selling to a whole multitude, tens of thousands of smaller used car dealers, right? So that's how we started with the marketplace back in 2016. Towards 2017, we then moved on to a full-fledged multi-finance business, right? So providing loans, insurance, warranties, and most recently we did after sales. So as a company, within the last 3 years, last year itself, we did about $700 million worth of transactions, right? So all this was done within the last 3 years. And I think I think your question is, how do we manage to grow the company so quickly? I think the only reason is because number one, the market is booming, right? Number two, I guess more importantly, we have been able to stay ahead of the competition in every aspect, ranging from the team to the fundraising, as well as, I guess, more importantly, execution, right? And I guess the last thing I wanted to add is that we focus a lot on the third and second tier cities, not just only in the first tier cities like in Jakarta or in Bangkok. So today we are present across Indonesia, Singapore, and Thailand, soon to be Malaysia, right? But yeah, so generically that's how we have been scaling the business across the region.
I mean, that's the thing about startups and growing companies. When you stand at this point in time, you say, in the past 2 years we have grown this much, but really it's each step of the way, which none of those are easy, I know. So tell us, what's the most difficult thing you have to do, and what is the toughest moment in this process?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we deal with all kinds of stuff every day. I mean, the truth is, sometimes operating in the emerging markets, you just have things that just pops up on you randomly, right? Like fraud, right? For instance, right? Internal fraud or fraud within your own guys. And these are the guys that have been working with you for maybe half a year, for a year. And then your decision now is like, do you want to put them in jail, right? Or do you want to, 杀一儆百, as the Chinese would say, which is we need to strike a balance and put at least one of them into jail so that we can at least warn all the others not to do the same, right? So stuff like that has been challenging, right? Where we have to deal a lot with internal issues like fraud, right? Sometimes it's not even internal issues, then it's externally, how do we hire the best talents, right? So in a lot of these markets as we operated in Indonesia, Singapore, and Thailand, maybe less of Singapore, but in Thailand and Indonesia specifically, we are playing a market where there are tech giants, right? So you have people like Gojek, people like Grab, Uber in the past, and they have no qualms paying to market in the valley, right? So in that regard, it is also very hard, at least from a CEO point of view, for me to continuously hire my middle management, my senior management of people, where my talent pool is always smaller than that of the large tech giant. But of course, we try to compensate it by the fact that we give better ESOPs, better kind of progression for career, and I guess more opportunity to actually operate and execute as an individual. Right?
Raising money is one of the most important and perhaps the toughest things you have to do as a startup. So tell us, how did you raise money? How did you make this happen? You said the first 100 million was really tough.
Yeah.
What are some tips you can give to other people?
Yeah. So, as a company, we have been quite lucky, I would say. In Southeast Asia, we are probably one of the most, at least top 10 or if not top 15 most well-funded startup in Southeast Asia, right?
How much you have raised?
So we have raised north of $100 million, and on top of that, we have another $100 million of debt, right? So about a couple $100 million over the last 2-3 years. So our largest investor to date still remains SoftBank Ventures, right? SoftBank Ventures, Insignia, together with B Capital and a whole bunch of actually fairly good and famous Series B and Series A funds in Southeast Asia. So we have been lucky in that sense, and honestly that has a lot to do with more my background, right? So I was a VC by training, or in fact by profession, for the last almost 10 years, right, in my career. So as a result, I know most of the funds well enough to be able to just give them a call and say, hey, do you want to invest, right? So I have that small unfair advantage, but I think the net of it at the end of the day is that the market momentum is real, right? And people like the fact that there is a lot of market demand, right, for a product like ours or for a platform like ours, so to speak. And I guess at the end of the day, like any other fundraising or any other people that's looking to fundraise is down to your traction, right? How well you have executed, how much traction you have in the market, right? And at the end of the day, then how are you going to convince that person to invest and part of his dollar to basically give you the dollar and grow that business 10 times, 100 times, so that he and you make money at the end of the, 5-10 years and stuff.
Now, lastly, for Carro, what's your next step, and what do you see your company going to be in 5 years?
So for us, a lot has to do with regional and global expansion, so to speak, right? So we are currently again in Indonesia, Singapore, and Thailand. We are planning to be in Malaysia by the next couple of months. In fact, in Vietnam, hopefully by the end of the year, if not early next. And so that's one part of it, just expand the business horizontally. Of course, then it's all about going deeper vertically, right? So in that regard, do we move into motorcycles, for instance, right? Do we move into underwriting our own warranties and insurance, right? So stuff like this are things that we are trying to get our hands on to actually quickly get it over and done with over the next few months. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Aaron, for your time.
Thank you, Nina.